For a long time, we have been discussing the emperor's foolishness in the story, but we are discussing how poor the trick was. We have never looked at the issue, the emperor's point of view. Imagine this, your closet already has thousands of clothes, all in different styles, meeting almost all your clothing needs. And then, as a passionate clothing lover, an item of clothing you have never seen, something vastly different appear before you. Would you be interested? The original story gives the invisible clothes the power to tell the wise from the foolish. For the emperor, it was more than just clothing, it was a loyalty scanner. The emperor was not foolish, but arrogant. He believed that no commoner in his kingdom would dare to lie to him. Therefore, he carelessly handed over the right to defend, which should have been firmly in his grasp, to an external force. What the emperor truly wanted to see was a loyalty he could already see with his own eyes, and whether it could pass third-party verification. Thus, with the formula of personal preference, need positioning, power transfer in place, the emperor was pushed step by step towards the ridiculous outcome he should have seen from the start. The two swindler tailors actually only did two things. First, accurately pinpointing the emperor's desires and ideas. Second, accurately judging the minister's tendency to save themselves. The wrong decision led to the birth of the chain of suspicion. The birth of this chain led to form spot for the wrong decision. In this spiraling escalation of conflict, the ball was ultimately thrown back to the emperor. The emperor should wear it for the upcoming grand procession. An officer suggested this. The nobles and ministers immediately agreed. They finally found a life raft, exposed the emperor to the public, and let the common people judge. If the people say it's real, everything is happy. If the people say it's fake, they're just fools. Whether the emperor bothers with the fools or not, it has nothing to do with us ministers. Our loyalty is absolute. In the end, the fancy fell back on the self-smart emperor. What scared him was not to be mocked by the public, but the realization that the entire court was deceiving him. This completely shocked the foundation of his rule. So is there any way to handle his PR crisis and help the emperor take back the power he gave away? Next, let's use a Chinese lens, transforming into an ancient PR crisis manager to use the following three moves to solve this centuries-old public opinion crisis. Move 1. Pointing to a deer and calling it a horse. The essence of power is a compliance test on issues unrelated to right or wrong. If the emperor admits fault, the divine nature of this power vanishes. First, after the crowd louder out the emperor's nakedness, the trick was already an open secret. What the emperor should do now is not immediately reveal the lie, but immediately categorize the minister in his court. No matter which country, there are only three types of people in the court. Loyal ministers, who are shrewd and self-saving. Flattery petty people, indecisive fence-sitters. As a PR crisis manager, I would suggest that the emperor hold another closing appreciation event, inviting all ministers to attend. The clothes on the display will be the ones the emperor most often wears in front of his ministers. The emperor needs to announce, "This is a new suit I just have made, and only foolish people can see it." To understand this move, let's look at an ancient Chinese story. It's called pointing to a deer and calling it a horse. In the Qing dynasty, after the death of the first emperor, the eunuch Zhao Gao helped the impending third emperor ascend the throne, and he himself essentially took control of the government. As a eunuch, his rule was not legitimate, so he needed a clever test to find out who in the court was loyal to him. One day, Zhao Gao led a deer into the court and in front of the second emperor and all the officials. Respectfully said, "Your Majesty, I present you with a swift horse." The second emperor looked at the deer and can't help but laugh, saying, "This is clear a deer. Why do you call it a horse?" Zhao Gao remained calm turned to face the ministers, and with a serious, even threatening look, loudly asked, "Your Majesty says it is a deer, but I believe it is a horse. Now, please tell us, is this a deer or horse?" The minister in the court immediately understood. It was not a discussion about the animals, but about choosing sides. The elections generally fell into three categories: the silent and fearful. Most ministers feared Zhao power and dared not speak. The flattering and compliant. Many who want to keep their posts or flatter Zhao quickly said, "It is indeed a fine horse." The truth holders, a few honest minister insist, "It is clearly a deer." Afterward, Zhao noted down all the ministers who dared to say deer, fabricated charges against them, and had them executed or imprisoned. From then on, nobody in the court dared to oppose Zhao. It is the same for the emperor in the fairy tale. The silent ones will be the majority. They can be ignored. Those who are loyal yet slow-witted, having learned their lesson, will not dare to lie again. Even if labeled foolish, they will admit, "Your Majesty," I said. But the self-smart opportunists will think, "Is that trick again?" But just the reversed. To prove they are not foolish, they will collectively lie. These people are the kingdom's real threat. They do not care about the emperor or the kingdom. They only care about their own interests, and they must pay the price for their self-smartness. Since you see you cannot say it, that proves you saw the emperor's naked. This is disrespect to the emperor. Other than arresting you, there seems to be no other option. Power can be given away many times, but the time it is taken back will also be the time the power takes effort. Therefore, through Move On, we successfully help the emperor take back the right to define. Next, we need to continue helping the emperor establish new sacredness. Move 2. Creating something out of nothing. When a lie is too outrageous, do not try to hide it. Elevate it to a form of art or miracle that common people cannot understand. After the last fiasco, nobles and lords from other regions will surely hear rumors, but they cannot be sure if it is true. Thus, there are also targets that need to be tamed. What the emperor needs to do, in line with how the two wonders made the emperor fall, is turn the invisible clothes into a mark of noble status. First, announce to all nobles that seeing the invisible clothes is not only a symbol of challenges, but also a symbol of a noble bloodline. What's next? Next, we release the news. The emperor will wear the invisible clothes on one of the next 30 days. Nobles can buy tickets to attend. The emperor does not need to actually wear the invisible clothes. He only needs to wear his favorite splendid clothes every day during those 13 days. As for which one is the invisible clothes, let the nobles guess themselves. The famous Sun King Louis XIV, in order to consolidate his absolute power and tame the nobles, turned his daily life into highly ritualized public performance and had the nobles participate in them. Louis XIV moved his daily life to the splendid palace of Versailles and established an extremely complex set of rituals that forced the nobles to revolve around his daily schedule. From then on, watching Louis XIV's daily life, eating, dressing, exercise, and even execution become a great honor that nobles eagerly paid to attend. Through this way, for displaying his private life, Louis XIV achieved three important goals: centralization of power and taming the nobles. Influential nobles have lived in Versailles. The nobles indulged in wine for favor and complex etiquette, spending vast amounts of money on clothes and banquets, thus having no time to worry about their lands and power elsewhere. Displaying the divine right of kings, the complex rituals shaped the empire into a sun-like being. Everyone revolved around him. Every day the nobles had to be present, because Louis XIV was said to have an amazing memory and could tell at a glance who was present or absent. Absence meant falling out of favor. Citing fashion and taste, Versailles was the fashion center of Europe. The emperor's clothing and lifestyle were imitated by all countries. The emperor's standard becomes standard for fashion. Sacredness comes from the mysterious and from collective discussion and guessing. When the nobles neither saw the emperors naked nor could guess which clothes were truly invisible, the discussion and guessing quickly moved from the palace to the streets. At the point, by placing the invisible clothes inside a dedicated wardrobe for a high-priced national tour, more discussions about what can and cannot be seen will attract more common people to pay high prices for entry. What will people who paid high prices say when they see an empty box? If they say they didn't see it, the one who paid the high price to enter will still be marked as foolish. If they say they saw it, the emperor's sacredness will be rebuilt by more and more people among the public. The lie, under collective psychological suggestion, becomes real. The truth is often in the hands of few, but the reality is always held by those who paid for the ticket. Through Move 2, we rebuild sacredness. Now, we only have one problem left to solve: the child who spoke up first. Move 3. Taming the mind. The child who spoke up first was indeed the source of shame, but he always became the shield for the public's emotions. Killing him would not prove innocence, but would only deepen the fact that the emperor is naked. So what should be done to turn public opinion around? The highest level of eliminating opposition is not destroying the body, but taming the mind. I will set up a school in the palace to improve wisdom. The child would be invited to enroll and become the class monitor. We will tell him, if you work hard to improve your wisdom, you have hope of becoming a noble. Then we will hold regular tests. The test is simple. Bring out the invisible clothes and have the child identify whether he can see them. You may ask, there is no way he can see them, right? No, we just need to prepare a real splendid suit. Will be displayed alternately, making a child cycle between seeing and not seeing, and the child's wisdom is improved in its process. In the ancient Chinese masterpiece, Water Margin, the story of the main character, Song Jiang, is a story of surrender that has been debated for centuries. It is also path, contradictions, compromise, and tragedy. Although Song Jiang was the bandit leader of Mountain Liang, his political idea was never to overthrow the court, but to carry out justice on heaven's behalf, ultimately hoping to serve the country. This ideology of only opposing corrupt officials, not the emperor, was the root cause of his push for surrender later on. Even after becoming a bandit, Song Jiang never gave up the chance to communicate with the court. He even happily released the officials sent to surprise the bandits, just to exchange for an opportunity to speak to the emperor. These actions greatly dissatisfied his brothers, but Song Jiang acted single-mindedly. Finally, the emperor of the Song dynasty decreed the surrender. Song Jiang led the whole army, burned the stronghold, and everyone accepted the court's command. The court granted many gifts and promised official positions. This moment was the highlight of Song Jiang's life. He believed he had finally led his brothers onto the right path. But Song Jiang never expected that he was merely a thug nurtured by the court. The court used him to attack another bandit groups that would never surrender. In the continuous campaigns, most of the 108 important members of Mountain Liang perished in battle. The others saw through the truth and gradually lost their will to fight. At the end of the story, political enemies in the court convinced the emperor to end Song Jiang's life with a cup of poisoned wine. From then on, the court completed the suppression of the rebel force without wasting a single soldier. Back to the story, power and temptation are enough to make the child who once shouted, "He has no clothes," at the next procession shout, "I saw it. Thank you, Your Majesty, for giving me wise eyes." If you cannot solve the problem, just solve the person who raised it. That's all you need. In the man Taming of Power, an innocent child will slowly become a cunning adult trapped in a chain of suspicion. And he truly guesses is no longer whether the clothes are invisible, but whether the Emperor wishes them to be invisible. From this point on, we have used the 3 moves to successfully turn black into white. As for how history will record this, that is not a problem for me, a liar, to consider. We think we're far from that ancient time, but look around. In the reality we face, that the invisible clothes have never truly gone away. Today, we are the child who speaks bluntly. Tomorrow, we might become an adult shouting, "What beautiful clothes!" from the audience. For the reason of fitting in, for benefit, for wealthy. Without realizing it, we're all stuck in this boring yet blinding guessing game. The world is a huge temporary center group. As long as the actors on stage don't break characters, the audience must keep applauding. This is the game of power.